Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I'm here to bring you a battle between the 5 Magic the Gathering Game Night decks and the Battle of the Horde Challenge deck from Born of the Gods. We'll be playing 2 games against this deck in normal difficulty with 3 turns before the Horde attacks and then again on hard mode. And for this game we'll be using 3 hero cards per player. The hero cards will include the Explorer, which says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. The Harvester, which says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. And then each player will also get their color-specific hero card. And because I only have one of each of these cards, we're going to apply the Explorer and the Harvester to all the players simultaneously. The color-specific cards are the Tyrant for black, which says exile the Tyrant. Creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until end of turn. For red, we have the Warmonger. It says exile the Warmonger. Creatures you control get +2/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. For green, we have the Provider. It says exile the Provider. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness. White has the General, which says exile the General. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Untap them. And finally, blue gets the Savant. It says exile the Savant, tap all creatures your opponents control. Those creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap steps. We'll start the game by drawing 7 cards apiece. Black draws a Zulaport Cutthroat, Swamp, Filigree Familiar, Stitcher Supplier, Swamp, Blood Divination, and Cruel Revival. It is a little short on lands, but we do have some potential here, so we will keep this. Red draws a Mountain, a Howling Golem, Act of Treason, Mountain, 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 and Mountain. There's not a lot of action, so we will mulligan using our free mulligan because this is multiplayer. Red draws a Goblin Instigator, Mountain, Mountain, Bombard, Dragon Fodder, Howling Golem, and Rolling Thunder. I think this is a much better keep since we have some 2-drops to cast, so we will keep this. Green draws Galta Primal Hunger, Seek the Wilds, Llanowar Elves, Forest, Overcome, Forest, and Talon of the Wildwoods. This is a little light on lands, but I think we can make this one work. White draws Call the Cavalry, Bright Reprisal, Cleansing Nova, Plains, Aerial Responder, Mesa Unicorn, and Plains. This is a little short on lands as well, but I think we can keep this one too. Blue draws an Island, Snarethopter, Scholar of the Stars, Island, Claustrophobia, Inspired Sphinx, Scholar of the Stars. Even though we have 2 lands here, most everything here is beyond what we can cast, so we're going to use our free mulligan. Blue draws an Aviation Pioneer, Island, 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 Soulblade Gym, Island, and Skyscanner. This is still a bit on the slow side, but since we have 3 drops that we can cast, we'll keep this. Because this is multiplayer, we'll draw on the first turn. Black draws a Swamp. Red draws a Volley Veteran. Green draws an Eager Construct. White draws a Gallant Cavalry. Blue draws an Island. Turn 1, black will play 2 swamps. We'll tap both the swamps and then play a Zulaport Cutthroat. It is a 1/1 human rogue ally. Whenever Zulaport Cutthroat or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Red plays 2 mountains, taps them both, and plays the Goblin Instigator. It is a 1/1 Goblin Rogue, and it says when Goblin Instigator enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 red Goblin creature token. Green plays 2 lands, we'll tap them both, and then we'll play the Eager Construct. It is a 2/2 artifact construct. When Eager Construct enters the battlefield, each player may scry 1. Green scries a forest and leaves it on top. White scries an Inspired Charge and puts it on the bottom. Blue scries an Island and puts it on the bottom. Black scries an Infectious Horror and puts it on the bottom. Red scries a Mountain and leaves it on top. White plays both Plains, taps them both, and plays a Mesa Unicorn. It is a 2/2 Unicorn with lifelink. Blue plays 2 Islands. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Black will draw a Filigree Familiar and will discard the Cruel Revival. Red will draw a Mountain and will discard the Rolling Thunder. Green will draw a Forest and will discard the Talons of the Wildwood. White will draw an Always Watching and will discard the Bright Reprisal. Blue will draw a Pilgrim's Eye and will discard an island. We'll untap. We'll draw. Black draws a gruesome fate. Red draws a mountain. Green draws a rabid bite. White draws a plains. Blue draws an island. Black will play a swamp. We'll tap 3 mana and then play the Filigree Familiar. It is a 2/2 artifact fox. When Filigree Familiar enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life. We'll gain 2 life to go to 22. Red plays 2 mountains, and then we will tap 2 mountains to play the Dragon Fodder. It says create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Green plays 1 forest. Green will tap 2 mana to cast Seek the Wild. It says look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. We reveal a forest, an Elvish Rejuvenator, a Reclamation Sage, and a forest. We'll go ahead and take the Reclamation Sage and we'll put the rest on the bottom with the Rejuvenator up top. With our last mana, we will cast the Llanowar Elves. White plays a Plains and then taps 3 mana to cast Aerial Responder. It is a 2/3 Dwarf Soldier with Flying, Vigilance, and Lifelink. Blue plays 2 Islands and then spends 3 mana to cast the Sky Scanner. It is a 1/1 Artifact Thopter with Flying. When Sky Scanner enters the battlefield, draw a card. We draw a Favorable Winds. Then we'll attack. We'll attack with the Zulaport Cutthroat. We will use the Warmonger right now, exiling it to get all of our creatures haste and +2/+0, making them all 3/1s. And then we'll attack with 4 3/1 goblin creature tokens. Green will attack with the Eager Construct. White will attack with the Mesa Unicorn. That is a total of 19 damage headed to the Horde. We first mill the Massacre Totem. Hero's Reward: when Massacre Totem is put into a graveyard from anywhere, put the top 7 cards of the Horde's library into its graveyard. Then we have a Refreshing Elixir. When Refreshing Elixir is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player gains 5 life. There are 5 players, so we gain 25 life. That takes us to 47. Then we have a Plundered Statue. It says when Plundered Statue is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player draws a card. So we'll now draw a card each. Black draws a Thallid Soothsayer. Red draws a Siege Gang Commander. Green draws a Goreclaw, Terror of Kalsisma. White draws a Knightly Valor. Blue draws an Island. We have another Refreshing Elixir, which means we get another 25 more life, going from 47 to 72. At the end of the turn, we will use the Harvester. Black draws a Swamp, and we will discard the Gruesome Fate. Red draws a Goblin Goliath, and we will discard the Bombard. Green draws a Howling Golem, and we'll discard the Rabid Bite. White draws a Plains, and we'll discard the Cleansing Nova. Blue draws a Whirler Rogue, and we'll discard the Pilgrim's Eye. We'll untap. We should have gained 2 life from the Unicorn's hit, so we'll go up to 74. We'll draw. Black draws a Swamp. Red draws a Welder Automaton. Green draws a Forest. White draws a Plains. Blue draws a Gearsmith Prodigy. Black will play 2 mana, and then we'll tap 1 and play a Stitcher Supplier. It is a 1/1 zombie, and it says when Stitcher Supplier enters the battlefield or dies, mill 3 cards. We'll mill 3. We put a Cruel Revival in the graveyard, a Languish in the graveyard, and a Swamp in the graveyard. Then black will cast the Thallid Soothsayer. It is a 2/3 fungus, and it has 2 sacrifice a creature, draw a card. Red will spend 3 mana and cast the Howling Golem. It is a 2/3 artifact golem. Whenever Howling Golem attacks or blocks, each player draws a card. Green will play the Mountain, and green will tap and play Goreclaw, Terror of Kalsisma. That is a 4/3 legendary bear, and says creature spells you cast with power 4 or greater cost 2 less to cast. Whenever Goreclaw, Terror of Kalsisma attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. White will play both of the planes. And then we'll spend 5 mana to cast Knightly Valor. It is an aura enchanted creature. When Knightly Valor enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has vigilance. We'll put that on the unicorn, making a 4/4 with vigilance and lifelink. We also get a knight. Blue will play 2 lands and will then spend 6 mana casting the Favorable Winds, which is an enchantment. It says creatures you control with flying get +1/+1, as well as Whirler Rogue, which is a 2/2 human rogue artificer. When Whirler Rogue enters the battlefield, create 2/1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. Tap 2 untapped artifacts you control. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. This makes the Skyscanner a 2/2. Then we'll attack. Black will attack with the Zulapur Cutthroat and the Filigree Familiar for 3. Red will attack with Team Goblin for 4. Green will attack with the Elves and the Eco Construct for 3. White will attack with the Aerial Responder and the Maze Unicorn for 6. Blue will attack with the Skyscanner for 2. That's a total of 18 damage, 6 on lifelink, taking us up to 80. We mill a Vitality Salve. It says when Vitality Salve is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player returns a creature card from his or her graveyard to the battlefield. Black has no creatures to return to the battlefield. Red has no creatures to return to the battlefield. Green has no creatures to return to the battlefield. White has no creatures to return to the battlefield. Blue returns a Pilgrim's Eye to the battlefield. It is a 1/1 artifact Thopter with flying. When Pilgrim's Eye enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle the library. We'll grab a island, put it into our hand, shuffle. We have the Altar of Mogus. When Altar of Mogus is put into a graveyard from anywhere, the Horde sacrifices 2 Minotaurs. There are no Minotaurs to sacrifice. We'll pass the turn to the Horde. The Horde will cast the top 6 cards. The first one is a Minotaur Younghorn. It's a 2/2 Minotaur with haste and it attacks each turn of Fable. The second is a Mogus' Chosen. It is a 5/4 Minotaur that enters the battlefield tapped and attacks each turn of Fable. A Reckless Minotaur is a 4/1 with haste and attacks each turn of Fable. At the beginning of the end step, destroy the Reckless Minotaur. We have another Minotaur Younghorn and a Minotaur Goreseeker. Everything attacks. We'll just let the Reckless Minotaur hit us, and the Aerial Responder will block one of the Younghorns. The Mace Unicorn will block the Goreseeker, and the Stallion Soothsayer will block the last Younghorn. We'll take 4 and go back down to 76. The Minotaur will lose these 3 creatures. And then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Black draws a Gravedigger and discards the Filigree Familiar. Red draws a Rolling Thunder and discards the Rolling Thunder. Green draws a Forest and discards the Overcome. White draws a Knightly Valor and discards the Knightly Valor. Blue draws an Island and discards the Island. We should have gained 6 more life from White's Lifelinkers, so we'll actually go up to 82. We'll untap. We'll draw. Black draws a Swamp. Red draws a Tormenting Voice. Green draws a Gasbark Twins. White draws a Militia Bugler. Blue draws an Island. The Reckless Minotaur should have died. Black will play the Swamp. Red will spend 4 mana and cast the Volley Veteran. It's a 4/2 Goblin Warrior. When it enters the battlefield, it deals damage to target creature an opponent controls equal to the number of goblins you control. That's 5. We'll target the Mogus' Chosen. Mogus' Chosen dies. Green plays a Forest. White will tap 3 and play Always Watching. It is an enchantment. Non-token creatures you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. This pumps up the Aerial Responder and the Maze Unicorn to 3/4 and 5/5 respectively. Blue plays both islands. And I think we have this in the bag. We're just going to attack with everybody. Not the Howling Golem, because we just don't want to draw cards right now, because that'll just add time to this game. That's for a total of 38 damage with 8 lifelink, taking us up to 90, and there's not 38 cards in here. We could draw the cards off of the Plunder statue, but we win. We'll be right back with hard mode. Alright, it's time for hard mode. We have 2 rounds before the Horde attacks. Let's draw 7 each. Black draws a Swamp, Languish, Murder, Zulapro Cutthroat, Swamp, Stitcher Supplier, and Death Baron. This hand is a little land light and doesn't have much to do, so we're gonna ship this back and look for a better hand. Second hand has a Swamp, Lord of the Cursed, Tattered Money, Swamp, Graveyard Marshal, Open the Graves, and Swamp. I think this is a bit better, so we'll keep this one. Red draws Havoc Devils, Mountain, Howling Golem, Mountain, Goblin, Trash Master, and Howling Golem. This is a bit of a slow hand, and there's not a lot of synergy, so I think we ship this back too. For the second hand, we draw a Mountain, Bombard, Mountain, and Volley Veteran. This is too many mountains. We don't have anything good here. Ship it back. Now we have a Mountain, Goblin Instigator, Gutter Snipe, Tormenting Voice, and Shock. I think this is okay. I think we can keep this one. We'll ditch the Tormenting Voice and put it on the bottom. Green draws a Gasbark, Twins, Force, Overcome, Llanowar Elf, Rabid Bite, and Llanowar Elf. This is not a great hand, but we do have plays, and hopefully we can get into something better through the Harvester. White draws a Militia Bugler, Aerial Responder, Sarah Angel, Plains, Luminous Bonds, Plains, and Pegasus Courser. We can't cast anything with the 2 planes that we have, so we're going to send this back. White draws a Pegasus Courser, Aerial Responder, Cleansing Nova, Plains, Dwarven Priest, Militia Bugler, and Subjugator Angel. 1 land is not a keepable hand, so we'll go to 6. Now we draw Pegasus Courser, Plains, Knightly Valor, Luminous Bonds, Militia, Bugler, Mighty Unicorn, and Gallant Cavalry. This is still not a keepable hand with 1 land, so we'll go to 5. Now we get a Plains, Militant Angel, Fanbearer, Plains, Knightly Valor, and Plains. I mean, it's not great, but we have to keep it because at least we have lands. So we will take the Knightly Valor and the Plains and stick them on the bottom. Blue draws a Snare Thopter, Island, Wall of Mist, Whirler Rogue, Island, and Island. I mean, it's slow, and they don't love that Wall of Mist, but in 2 turns, we'll have a guy. Seems pretty bad. We're gonna ship this back. Blue draws a Pilgrim's Eye, Island, Wall of Mist, Switcheroo, Island, and Aviation Pioneer. I think this is a better mix, so we'll keep this. We'll draw for the first turn. Black draws a Murder. Red draws a Welder Automaton. Green draws a Forest. White draws a Mesa Unicorn. Blue draws a Skilled Animator. Black plays 2 Swamps, taps them both, and then casts the Graveyard Marshal. It's a 3/2 Zombie Soldier. For 2 and a black, exile a creature card from your graveyard. Create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. Red plays 2 lands, taps them both, and then casts a Goblin Instigator. Green plays 2 lands, taps them both, and then casts 2 Llanowar Elves. They are 1/1 Elf Druids, and you can tap them to add green. White plays 2 plains, taps them both, and plays a Mesa Unicorn. Blue plays 2 islands, taps them both, and plays a Wall of Mist. That's an 0/5 wall, and it has Defender, so we can't attack. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Black draws a Lord of the Accursed and discards a Murder. Red draws a Seismic Elemental and discards the Shock. Green draws a Forest and discards the Rabid Bite. White draws a Plains and discards the Fanbearer. Blue draws a Island and discards the Switcheroo. Then we untap. We draw. Black draws a Murder. Red draws a Goblin Motivator. Green draws a Forest. White draws a Luminous Bonds. Blue draws an Island. Black will play the Swamp. We'll tap all 3 and we'll play the Lord of the Accursed. It's a 2/3 zombie. Other zombies you control get +1/+1. And then for 1 and a black, all zombies gain menace until end of turn. That makes the Graveyard Marshal a 4/3. Red plays the Mountain, taps all 3, and then plays the Gutter Snipe. It's a 2/2 Goblin Shaman. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Gutter Snipe deals 2 damage to each opponent. Then we'll exile the Warmonger, giving them all +2/+0 and haste. Green plays 2 lands. White plays 2 lands. Blue plays 2 lands. And then blue taps 3 mana to cast the Aviation Pioneer. It is a 1/2 Human Artificer. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token. Black attacks with the Graveyard Marshal. Red attacks with a Gutter Snipe and both Goblin Instigators. Green will attack with both Llanowar Elves. White will attack with the Mesa Unicorn. That's 18 damage and 2 of it being life gain, so we'll go up to 22. We have a Plundered Statue, so every deck will draw a card. Black draws a Swamp. Red draws a Captivating Crew. Green draws a Forest. White draws a Plains. Blue draws a Soulblade Djinn. We have a Refreshing Elixir. We'll gain 25 life and go up to 47. We also have a Vitality Salve. We'll each return a creature from the graveyard to the battlefield. Black has no creatures in the graveyard. Red has no creatures in the graveyard. Green has no creatures in the graveyard. White returns the Fanbearer to the battlefield. Blue has no creatures in the graveyard. Second main, black will play the Swamp. And then we'll pass to the Horde's first turn. They'll cast the top 6 cards. The first one is a Phobos Reaver. It's a 2/3 Minotaur with haste and attacks each turn of Fable. Then we have a Reckless Minotaur, a Minotaur Younghorn, a Massacre Totem. It says at the beginning of the Horde's pre-combat main phase, reveal an additional card from the top of the Horde's library. The Horde casts that card. Another Minotaur Younghorn, and a Minotaur Goreseeker. The Minotaurs attack. The Lord of the Cursed will block one of the Younghorns, killing it, and the Wall of Mist will block the 4/1, which will bounce off of the wall. We'll take 7 damage to go down to 40, and the Younghorn and the Reckless Minotaur will die. At the end of the turn, we'll loot. Black draws a Swamp and discards a Murder. Red draws a Mountain and discards the Goblin Motivator. Green draws an Avatar of Growth and discards the Forest. White draws a Gallant Cavalry and discards the Luminous Bonds. Blue draws a Sky Scanner and discards the Pilgrim's Eye. We untap. We draw. Black draws a Stitcher Supplier. Red draws a Mountain. Green draws a Forest. White draws a Plains. Blue draws an Island. Black will play a Swamp, and then we'll spend all of the mana to cast Lord of the Accursed. Now we have 2 Lords of the Accursed. We'll also cast the Tattered Mummy, which is a 2/2 zombie jackal. When Tattered Mummy dies, each opponent loses 2 life. That makes this Lord of the Cursed a 3/4 and this Graveyard Marshal a 5/4. And the Tattered Mummy is a 3/4 and this Lord of the Cursed is a 3/4. Red plays 2 lands. We'll tap them all and play the Seismic Elemental. It's a 4/4 elemental. When Seismic enters the battlefield, creatures without flying can't block this turn. That part doesn't matter. Green will play 2 forests, and then we'll tap all the forests and 1 Llanowar Elves to cast the Gasspark Twins. It's a 7/7 Tree Folk with Trample, and it can block an additional creature each combat. White will play both plains. Blue will play both islands, and blue will cast both the Skilled Animator and the Sky Scanner. The Sky Scanner will cast first. We'll draw a card. It's Claustrophobia. We'll play the Skilled Animator. It is a 1/3 Human Artificer. When Skilled Animator enters the battlefield, target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power, toughness 5/5 for as long as the Skilled Animator remains on the battlefield. That makes this a 5/5 flyer. Now we'll attack. The Lord of the Cursed will attack. The Graveyard Marshal will attack. The 2 Instigators and the Gutter Snipe will attack. This Llanowar Elf will attack. The Mesa Unicorn and the Fanbearer will attack. The Thopter, the Aviation Pioneer, will attack. That is a total of 22 damage. We'll also gain 2 life to go back up to 22. Altar of Mogus makes the Horde sacrifice 2 Minotaurs. We'll choose the 2 strongest Minotaurs, the Phobos Reaver and the Goreseeker. That's it. White will spend 5 mana and cast the Militant Angel. It's a 3/4 flying lifelinker. When it enters the battlefield, create a number of 2/2 white knight creature tokens with vigilance. equal to the number of opponents you attack last turn. We attacked one opponent, we'll get one knight. The Horde untaps. They'll cast the next 7 cards. We have a Refreshing Elixir, a Minotaur Gore Seeker, a Plundered Statue, a Intervention of Karanos. It says at the beginning of combat this turn, Intervention of Karanos deals 3 damage to each creature. A Minotaur Younghorn, a Minotaur Younghorn, and a Phroboros Reaver. Before the attacks happen, the Intervention of Karanos triggers, and each creature will take 3 damage. That kills all of the Minotaurs. All of these survive because of the Lords of the Accursed. Red loses the Goblin token and the 2 other goblins. Green loses the Llanowar Elves. White loses everything but the Angel. Blue loses everything but the Wall. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Black draws a Zulaport Cutthroat. We'll discard the Zulaport Cutthroat. Red draws a Mountain. We'll discard the Mountain. Green draws a Ronus' Monument. We'll discard the Overcome. White draws a Plains. We'll discard the Plains. Blue draws an Island. We'll discard the Claustrophobia. We'll untap. We'll draw. Black draws a Death Baron. Red draws a Dragon Fodder. Green draws a Galta Primal Hunger. White draws an Inspired Charge. Blue draws a Wall of Mist. I think we've got this. We'll attack with everybody. After we cast the Death Baron. The Death Baron is a 2/2 zombie wizard, and skeletons you control and other zombies you control get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. That makes everybody here significantly stronger. The Graveyard Marshal is now 6/5. The Lord of the Cursed is now a 4/5. The Tattered Mummy is now a 4/5. And the other Lord of the Cursed is a 4/5. We'll attack with the Seismic Elemental. We'll attack with the Gaspark Twins. We'll attack with the Militant Angel. That's 32 damage with 3 lifelink, taking us up to 45. And we'll deal 32 damage to the Horde. And the Horde is defeated. So the Game Night decks do a pretty good job of defeating the Horde. That was relatively easy, even with some of the slowdowns in some of the decks. Let me know what your thoughts were about the games in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more such videos, hit subscribe. Next time, I'll be bringing you a battle between these decks and the Defeated God Challenge deck from Journey into Nyx. Until then, this is Refresh, and thanks for watching.